So I would actually write it down, 351,900 or 351,500 minus 333,900. Every time I have a customer shopping two neighborhoods, I would do this 100% of the time. Every time. How long did that take? A couple seconds. 17,600. I would just do that when you have a customer looking between two neighborhoods, right? And now, what is going to be one of the other big differences, though? Was this client wanting to do a walkout, right? Were they? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Think so.
Yeah, they would.
Okay. So I would also go open this up. Let me come to here. I want to go back here. Oops, here. And I would go to Pleasant Hill. I want to live on a hill that's pleasant. That's what I want. I would find one of the basement home sites. I don't know where they are. Let's see. These ones along here. I have no idea which one they're looking at. 40, 41, 42 in there are basements. I would come down here, 40, 41, 42 are 1,000-ish. Looks like 15, 16, 17, 18. 16 and 17 are basements. These are minus 1,000, right? So I would just kind of look and see, like, what's the difference? So it's a plus 3,000 home site premium on some of them in Fall Creek, and it's a minus 1,000 on some of them in Pleasant Hill. That's another $4,000. So it was 17,600 plus another 4,000 in premiums, right? This doesn't take very long to look at this, but this is the homework you have to do when you have a client. Like, you got to go through this process. And then you got to go in and you got to look at some of these other things, right? Whoops, going too far. If there's any other major things, like maybe I'm going to unfinish the basement, that should be the same in both, or pretty darn close. The answer to why is the price difference is different is always going to be because the cost is different. That's why. That's it. I mean, we're not trying to hide anything. The cost is different. Costs less in this neighborhood to build it than it does in that neighborhood. For the reasons of the land costs something different. Do locations, is Beverly Hills different than Compton? Yes. Is, Beverly Hills different than Springfield, Missouri? Yes. Cost is different. Cost of labor is different, right? Do you pay people more money to do construction in one area than another? Maybe. Maybe I use a different framer in one neighborhood than another, or electrician. Or maybe there's some different things that are required by the covenants of the neighborhood that have to be in a house in this neighborhood that do not have to be in a house in this neighborhood because the covenants are different. Right? This is an electric water heater and an electric HVAC system. Those are different costs than a gas one in the other neighborhood. Is this making sense?
Makes sense.
Does that help you guys understand that better?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What questions am I not making clear? What questions do you guys have?
Honestly, on that, I think I got it.
Okay.
I guess I would. I get. I don't know if anybody here knows, but I wonder how that conversation started, like how they got down that road initially.
Well,
Just
yeah,
Well, she
if
had
you go ahead. Go ahead,
sorry,
Brady.
originally she had just said that the homes were the same price no matter where you built, which
Never.
in a way the home like yeah, I mean it was just wrong and like I said, I told her just to own it and move forward. Like um there's no reason to get hung up on it. Just move forward.
Yep.
No,
They
for
want
sure.
the
I was
house.
just trying to better understand how to avoid, that road. But that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
I would,
I would just know in the back of your mind, Aaron's sorry.
no, go ahead, buddy.
I was just gonna say, I would just keep in the back of your mind, like Aaron said, that one, it's in our contract, the home site disclaimer, that all home sites are unique, none are the same, and there's a reason for that. And the second thing is that depending on where you build, the costs are different. And just know that going forward. Like they're gonna be similar. I mean, somewhat similar, but there is gonna be a discrepancy in there. So, but she just didn't know because she hasn't seen, Bolivar, she hasn't seen Marshville, there's just differences in prices.
Yep. Yep, exactly. So, there's a lot of things that can make home sites different costs as well, right? It can be a different size, like I pointed out in those two home sites, right? I mean, even in Fall Creek, like I don't see the dimensions on here. And Jordan, do we not have a Fall Creek that has home site dimensions? Because their map that they're using has no dimensions of home sites.
Not if it wasn't provided, but let me see if.
Can you double check that? Because I feel like that will hamstring them a little bit. Um, so like for example, you guys, I'm just looking on this Bailwick Drive, which I don't believe it's actually Bailwick. I think it's misspelled and it's supposed to be Baileywick. But if I really zoom in on this, do you see how this line that's separating these home sites starts to curve down right here?
Yeah.
And this starts to curve down. I'm just curious if the dimension of depth here is identically the same. I don't know if it is. They all say 0.24 acres, which, leads me to believe maybe they are the same, but it might be slightly different. And then these are definitely bigger, 0.36. That should have a big premium on it because it's literally half again. It is 50% more home site than 35. You know what I mean? So like that should have a higher value to it, right? That should have a premium on it. So and then uh so these are all the reasons why home sites will have premiums on them, right? But we're never going to get into telling the customer what the price of the land is. That should not be a part of the discussion. If they ask, how much is the home site in this neighborhood? My response would be, I have no idea. It's included in the average cost of a home site in this neighborhood is included in the base price of the home, and I don't know what it is. You don't ever want to get into a discussion of how much that home site costs, in my opinion, ever. It is a deal blower upper conversation. Do not discuss it with clients. Now, in some unique situations, you can't get away from it because there's other builders quoting it to people. So sometimes you're stuck in that and it kind of sucks, but it happens. But I would try to stay out of that conversation every single time. Make sense? So there's also just let me throw out one other thing about this. There's also perceived value differences. So let me give you an example. If I have a home site that backs up to railroad tracks, and in the same neighborhood on the other side of the neighborhood, I have a home site that's the exact same size. It's also a slab home site, just like the one that backs up to the railroad tracks. Everything else is identical between the two, but the one over here on the other side of the neighborhood backs up to a wooded preserve with no railroad tracks. Which one has a higher perceived value? Somebody answer my question.
The private one.
Yeah.
Yes, the result.
What would you rather back up to? Railroad tracks or a wooded preserve?
I guess it depends on whether you have a car or not.
Or if you're a hobo.
Riding
Hobos
some
might
trains,
prefer
yeah.
being closer to the train.
If you currently really are doing like a documentary on hobos, and this is great, for you to live there, maybe. But outside of that, probably not. I mean, as a home builder coach, every single time that I am talking to a builder, I am explaining to them that there are multiple ways to value properties, right? So you want to be very strategic as a home builder. You want to be strategic in how you value your properties, right? If I've got one that's, just like we looked at here, this one right here, it says 0.36 acres. Do you see that?
Yes.
0.36. All of the rest of these on this road are 0.23 or 0.24. This one is 50% more. Does that mean I should have a value that's 50% more? Maybe. Should it be higher or lower?
Higher for sure. Yes.